atop my mountaintop on Mount Manitoba. NotInHallOfFame.com presents How the Hell Did This Go to #1? And you might be thinking, well, it's easy to say, hey, we know why this went #1 because the song's awesome. But wait, this was a song? This was real? It was.
But the band wasn't.
The band was not. I'm Kirk Buchner. I operate NotInHallOfFame.com and the sister sites, the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame, the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which, by the way, announces the semifinalists this week. Huh?
I don't know about you, but I'm on the edge of my seat.
I thought you might be. Also, what else do I run? The United States Athletic Hall of Fame. Vote now, vote often. www.nothallofame.com/USA, and you can decide who was the greatest American athlete. Brad, I know you're thinking who's the greatest American hero. That was William Cott, but anyway.
Greatest American hero, I know.
Okay, well, I thought you might. I wanted to include you, but I've got Andrea Tessmann, who will always have second billing, and Brad Nelson. With me, as always, every Tuesday night as we record. Wherever you see it, may not be Tuesday night. I don't know, but apparently, Andrea sort of ditches plans just to do this, and that's why she named our group the Nerdcast. Thanks for that.
Well, who knows that she gets to come home and hang out with two of the best-looking guys that do this podcast.
Well, I will say this, Brad, based on the cover art of Steam, I think had you and I had mustaches in the early 20s and we were around in 1969 Connecticut, we would have been in this band.
Dude, if we were around right now in Connecticut, I think we'd be top of the chart.
And with that, let's talk about Steam, a band that really didn't exist. And when it did, it really wasn't anything to do with them. But we all know this song. We all know it. And when we kicked off how we were going to do this at the end of that, Andrea, you didn't know who this was when I said we're doing Steam. But once I went, na, 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 na.
Hey, 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 goodbye.
Yes.
First time I ever heard this song was the Nylons doing it. I loved the deep voice in there. He doesn't love you.
Okay, this only means something to Canadians, and we are 3 Canadians doing this. The Nylons were an a cappella group in the 80s, who sucked, by the way, because all a cappella groups suck.
Kirk? Not all.
Not all.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm not into Glee, but anyway.
I really wanted Glee to be better than it was, man.
It started out pretty good, and then it just turned into a recycling of the same.
No. Okay, I know this is my fault. We're not talking about Glee. Not now, not ever.
Sorry, did you need a moving right along?
Yes, thank you.
Moving right along.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Open fault on that
one.
one.
Kirk, to be your soundboard.
Or something. You know, I learned a lot about this because I didn't know much about it either. Brad, to your point, I mean, like in Canada, I think a lot of us didn't learn it from the Nylons. For me, first, for my age, it was Bananarama who covered this.
I never heard the Bananarama version, and I still haven't listened to it because I didn't want to go into it with, being tainted with this. But I hadn't heard the Bananarama version yet, so I'm going to listen to it after the podcast.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think for Canadians out east, where I was living, Don Cherry, the great hockey coach, he was a great hockey coach, but an interesting hockey pundit. He had a TV show on CHCH, which was the Hamilton channel. And so it was like right before every hockey night in Canada. And sort of like right at the end of his outro was, it was the Bananarama version of na na na. Anyway, so like that's kind of where I heard that first. Saying that, nobody came here for Bananarama, or nobody came here for the Nylons. Not even the Nylons, if they're alive today.
Mm-hmm.
So who is Steam?
Steam was a fictitious band. They basically were a couple of songwriters and singers, and they formed this band because they didn't think this thing was going to go anywhere. They make a B-side.
They didn't even name themselves Steam.
Yeah, but it's more than that, right? Because if you look at it, these were 3 guys who were in a doo-wop or a cappella group in the early 60s.
2 of them were doo-wop. before, and the third, I don't know, was he part of the group?
Oh, he's a piano player.
Yeah.
But he's the more interesting one because let's get their names here. Gary DiCarlo, Dale Fleischer, I might be saying that wrong, and Paul Laka. Paul was the piano player, and I think Paul's sort of an interesting figure when we look at this because basically you got three.
Paul got the shaft.
I'm sorry.
Paul got the shaft.
Oh, see, I see.
No, DiCarlo got the shaft.
I think Paul was the one giving the shaft.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, it was DiCarlo that got basically just told, no, we're not touring with you.
Right. So these guys, they have their little thing going on in the early 60s, but they keep in touch. And please jump in if I got this wrong. Paul gets a gig at Mercury Records, doing reasonably well, and he wrote and produced a song that we might cover one day, Green Tambourine. By what is it, the Lemon Pipers? I forget.
Which this song knocked out. No, I'm sorry. This song knocked out. I don't have my notes in front of me. My computer's on the fritz. That's why I'm coming to you from my dining room and my plant hoard. So the computer's in the shop. I'm here on my phone. I don't have my notes, but no, it didn't knock out Green Tambourine. They had writing credits on Green Tambourine. Sorry, go ahead.
Only Paul did. So like he was essentially established in this, got his buddies to, I guess, a shot. They come up with this, which was kind of a throwaway.
It was totally a throwaway. It was a old song. I think DiCarlo had partly wrote it and kind of put it aside. Yeah. And then they needed a B-side. So they pulled this out. They engineered it to be a B-side and to never be a hit. They purposely are just slightly off key in the background vocals. They added 8,000 Nana Hey Hey Goodbyes to the end of it to make it too long for radio play.
It had no lyrics.
It had, and it was
just no different
also,
than then and now and forever.
Pretty much, but it also was just shitty composition. They put it all together on a synthesizer. There's no band behind it. There's no real musicians behind it aside from a couple of singers and a keyboard.
It was even recycled from other songs.
I get a totally different vibe from this, though. I look at this as, with this, what would have happened in '69 if the Temptations of the Four Tops got a hold of this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would have
been amazing. Just like the Nylons cover is great.
No, it isn't. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
No. Your hatred.
What, am I going in corner? You're going to put Baby in a corner? That's not how this works.
Your hatred of talent, Kirk, doesn't need to be forced on people with taste.
Fine. As I emerge out of the crevice of which I came from, inside.
That credit to yours, I tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but I did read some reviews on this where they sort of viewed it as Motown Light. I do think that it's kind of banging in its own way.
Yeah, if the Temptations or the Four Tops, like you said, got a hold of this thing, the treatment they would have given it would have elevated it to a much
treatment that the producers would have given it of Lamont, Dozier, Lamont, or no Dozier.
Well, I mean, okay, when you've got those two groups in particular, you've got a lot of money behind them, way more than was behind Steam, and it
they didn't have a lot of steam behind it.
There we go. But no, we would have had a much bigger phenomenon than we had out of Steam.
Well, yes or no. This is
phenomenon.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Back then, would it be bigger now than it is?
100%. I think it would have.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because I think it would have. I mean, as it sits, it knocked a Beatles song off the top one, out of top position.
Which one, Brad?
Oh shit! I had this. I don't have my notes.
Okay, while you're trying to think of that, I did find an interview.
Doesn't it come together?
Come together. It not come together out.
I never understood that song. Anyway, we'll have to look at that one.
He got blacked up. He got moving up slowly. It's just a bunch of words.
Yeah. Well, so was this. in its own way.
There is a story to this, though. Basically, dude is trying to get the girl to break up with her boyfriend so he can get with her. Nah, hey, kiss him goodbye.
Yeah.
And who of us haven't been there?
Does it ever work for you, Brad? It never worked for me.
No, I just wound up being that guy that she would come to bitch about the guy that she was seeing.
Going back to the Beatles, I found an interview on with Gary DiCarlo, the lead singer of that, and he says like a lot of influence was from the Beatles, actually, with na 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 na. So hence where they were coming a bit with that. Here's what I think happened. I think you've got Paul Laka, who pretty much brought his two people in, and the whole thing's he was like mid-level, right? He was sort of like a mid-level, sort of like a producer guy at Mercury. So this becomes a massive hit, and then he goes to them and says, "Okay, remember that thing that you didn't really want to do? Now it's a hit. All right, let's go tour." No, we're all about the art, man. Paul did what he had to do, or Paul was told what he had to do, and then they put this whole group around it. And I don't know about you guys, but when I picked this, I knew fuck all other than this was just a fun song. I chanted sports, as Brad says, yay sports ball.
I don't agree with you on your take on this. I think that because the cover of the album is
that was after.
It's 5 dudes in a homoerotic steam room.
6.
Sorry, 6. I was gonna say you were paying attention to those mustaches, weren't you?
I was.
I
thought I made that pretty clear at the beginning when I said if Brad and I had a mustache, we would have been in that band in 1969.
I don't know that that they necessarily said no to touring, though. I think the record company just went, "Hey, we can put something else together," and they Milli Vanilli'd the shit out of it.
Yeah, but no, I can say that because I found an interview where DiCarlo said that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So where he pretty much said, like, I didn't want to be that guy. So somehow we've got a he said thing between Laka and DiCarlo. And I don't know really what the other guy had to do with any of this. I couldn't find shit about that.
No.
But I think that I found something from the Connecticut Sun or a Connecticut paper where right before he passed away, because he died of cancer, I'm talking about DiCarlo. And so like they were trying to essentially say, okay, this is the guy from Epstein, blah, blah, blah. Here's the GoFundMe to try and help him out. And quotes rather, where he said like he was still kind of bitter and he would scream out when this came out, like, hey, that's me. So somehow he felt screwed. I wonder if Paul Laka felt screwed in some way. I don't know.
I read somewhere that there was a lot of animosity between them forever after. They both died of cancer about 6 years apart, and they never forgave each other for whatever the bullshit was.
Yeah, and that's sort of like where we're sort of like going with that. So I don't know whether Paul sold them out, or maybe it's like, no, it's about the art, man. Who the fuck knows at this point? Because we do know that DiCarlo said this should not have been the A side, but then they had something. As much as like we've all ripped on how these record companies will screw you over, but sometimes they just get it right. Like they know what a hit is. They were right.
They were right. But let's talk about why this is still in our collective psyche today.
Sports
and
ball.
it's because it has become a meme. In the traditional sense of the word, this song, and we've covered a few others that have made it to meme status, but you start humming this little ditty, and it brings up sports ball, primarily baseball, but it's used in any sport. Anytime they're pulling someone off the field or the ice or the court. And it started because, and I can't remember now which team it was. I want to say Detroit.
Chicago, the White Sox.
Yeah, sorry. That was my next choice.
Chicago's a great musical.
Because the organist decided when they were pulling the pitcher to just start playing this. And then people started singing along, and it became a meme. It's something that everybody understands now. I've been at hockey games and sung it along with everybody else when they're pulling people off for penalties or pulling the opponent's team goalie. You know, it's effective.
I think there's a lot of people who didn't even know this was actually a song.
I don't think I had never heard the original version before listening to it for this podcast.
Oh.
They're the same people who think that George Foreman was a chef.
You were both talking.
Go on, Brad.
Sorry, I'd heard the original a couple of times, but then I heard the Nylons version, and I loved the energy of that song. So I mean, that's why it stuck with me. Nothing to do with the sports ball or anything like that, because I mean, I don't really ever watch it. And then I had, as I got older, seen it brought into that, and then it was the original that was brought in. I didn't realize that the Nylons were a Canadian group when I had first heard them and heard that album that Na 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 was on. Was the first time I'd ever heard the Nylons, and I loved it because the dynamic of the voices and what have you. So I thought personally it had more energy than the original, and it was more interesting to listen to because of the differences in the vocals in there. But I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right when you both say that, this has become a sports anthem, and because of the goodbye, the long drawn out goodbye, it can be a taunt for the opposing team.
Well, that's what
it is a taunt. 100%, it's a taunt.
Yeah, because it is, but it's a lighthearted taunt. It's not like it has no balls behind it. Like there's no venom there or anything. It's just na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye, and you can't be angry when you sing it, or anything like that. It's just maybe a death metal band cover could do it, but this is just taunting the player on the field, mound, ice rink, whatever.
It's kind of funny to me how this song became it's like no, fuck him, pick me, to a song about go fuck yourself, you're out of here.
Yeah.
But there's no venom behind it though. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Like you can't. I mean, you smile when you sing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty venomous. It's pretty. It's not mean-spirited, but it's definitely a dig.
Okay.
Oh, it's a dig, but I don't think it's got any teeth.
If you were on that field and being sung off in that method,
right,
you would feel the teeth.
I think also too. Let's go back. I want to go back to just that cover art. Where did they come up with this? Okay, because I can only find, and I don't know about the two of you, right? So when I was sort of doing my research on this, and so you can only find one performance in 1969 of this one group, and then you find other stuff where it's DiCarlo singing. I was like, shit, how did DiCarlo must have had got some kind of wig, because the lead singer who they hired was clearly going all full pre-David Crosby. Right? So
only a select few people are going to get the David Crosby reference.
Hopefully they're the ones watching. But
I hope so too. And if you are watching, like and subscribe.
No, but because I'm watching that, I wonder because like also too, then I found another interview with DeCarlo who said like, oh, well, I didn't want to go full Milli Vanilli. Well, Milli Vanilli, as Andrea and I covered in the BB times before Brad. I like that.
I like that. There's
Okay.
BB and AB.
Yeah. So when we were looking at that, Milli Vanilli existed because they were so good looking. They hired 6 guys who were
I think the cover art happened because you name your band Steam as a complete throwaway. There, steam is vapor; it disappears quickly. That's what they were planning on this thing doing. This was a B-side. It was a throwaway, and it got a lot more life than I think anybody was expecting it to have. And so they put 6 guys when there were only really 3 involved in the band originally.
My favorite thing with the video though too, or the only thing was like the guy in the bongo.
Yeah, well,
there's a bongo in this.
They should have had John Stamos in there for the bongo.
Aruba. Yeah. By the way, you can sort of like check that out when we all looked at Kokomo.
That's right.
You know what I did there?
That being said, though, they went with the steam room thing, this sort of sauna idea, and what is the common, well, maybe misconception, maybe not, we don't know, about a steam room.
Whoa. Okay, so
I said homoerotic already.
Really? I don't think maybe, but I don't think they knew that.
Oh, well.
And if they did, that wouldn't have been the 6 people they chose.
Well, you wouldn't think so, but I mean, there's a key for every lock, right?
Yes.
I think beauty standards were a lot different in 1969.
Oh,
holy shit, this went a place I didn't think it was going to go.
Really?
Yes, really.
Hi, Kirk. I'm Brad, and this is Andrea. Have we met before?
Okay, Brad.
We're going to make it awkward if we can.
I didn't think we were going to go far right or far right left. Okay. God damn you, political things. Anyway, I don't know anymore.
In the shape of an L on her forehead.
The stop coming and they don't stop coming. Back to the rules, and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb.
So much to do, so much to say. So what's wrong with taking the back streets?
You never know if you don't go. You never shine if you don't show.
Hey! Anyway, Kirk, you were
moving right along.
I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with this. All I know is I'm just picturing a bunch of like late 20-something people in their basement looking at Andrew saying, "See, mommy, I can get a boyfriend or girlfriend." Sorry. Never mind. I don't edit shit, so we're going to leave this in. Anyway, go on.
One way or the other.
Or another. I'm going to go.
Album cover happened. It was, I think these guys were taking the piss because they didn't expect this thing to be anything. And it became something much bigger than they had planned. This was supposed to be a throwaway piece of shit, B-side, don't turn the record over. We just needed to fill some space.
But it's
the song was written inside of 15 hours.
I honestly I'm looking at all these other retro reviews of this. Okay, call it Motown Light, call it what you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking banging. It's great.
Yes, it's a fun song.
Yeah.
Whoever was actually banged their brain cells together to write this, and that was the majority was what's his name,
DeCarlo.
Yeah, they were writing it. They were having some fun with it. He was saying in an interview that we didn't have any real words for it, so everything that wasn't a word we put in na na na, and it became the chant throughout the song that actually was the glue that held the whole song together. Because I read the liner notes on the Nylons album and what have you. I know a lot of the lyrics to this.
Oh, you're the one.
He doesn't love you the way that I love you, because if he did, he wouldn't break your heart. Yeah. So but nobody really. If you were to quote those lyrics to begin with, nobody would know. But you say na 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 na, just that, and people know exactly what you're talking about. So that the na-nas were the glue that held this whole thing together. Yeah. And it's what sticks in your head. And I think because it was such, and to quote Andrea, an earworm, it took off because of exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it still survives today, and good on it. Because the guy also who was part of Green Tambourine, I don't think we're going to talk about that.
Well, there's no reason to.
Yeah, but that also was like 2 years before.
Yep.
One hit wonder, and does not stop.
I am honestly shocked though that this song had the cojones to knock out Come Together out of a #1 spot. Because you're going up against the Beatles. This is an absolute nothing burger of a band going up against the Beatles, which is arguably the biggest band of that era.
Which is why this show exists. Springsteen's #1 hits, 0.
That's because
Dylan,
Springsteen
Bob,
was painful to listen to.
yeah, Bob Dylan, #1 hits, 0.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're doing this. Because again, how the hell did this happen? Why did Andrew and I talk about the singing nun?
Why did you talk about the singing nun?
Because it's fucking fascinating, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the really most fascinating ones we've talked about.
Yeah,
it really is. Like that one.
So, yeah, go look up the singing nun if you haven't watched that episode or listened to it. We weren't recording it at that point.
we were recording it. We weren't video recording it.
The hell out of that.
Yeah, no, because this shit's fascinating to me.
Absolutely, this is something that should never have been. Rocket to the Top is. You're absolutely right, Kirk. It is fascinating to see why these nothing burgers of a song should suddenly pop into the public consciousness.
Or non-existent bands.
Or non-existent bands in the case of Steam, absolutely.
Yeah, which has happened many times before, after. The only thing I really feel bad is Gary DiCarlo. I don't know whether he. I don't know. Reading today that like right at the end how he needed to GoFundMe, it's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, that hurts a little bit that he didn't have enough to see him through to the end.
Yeah, shit like that. Because like there are so many people who've lived off of one song. You'd think he would have. I don't know what.
Part of it though is the American health system, and that can bankrupt a lot of people. So if you've been struggling with cancer for a few years, yeah, it's just a sad state of affairs, really.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Okay.
Moving right along.
Yes, thank you. Because I think we put a cap on this Steam. I forgot who's next. No, Brad, you're next.
That's me, and I have my notes on the computer, which is in the shop. However, I believe I still remember somebody who's got quick Google foo skills. I need you to check and make sure that this one did hit #1.
Because you've never screwed this up before.
No, I've done this before. I've messed it up, and we've done something else completely different. So get ready. Google your shit here, because Lou Bega, Mambo #5.
Okay, yeah. Done. Yeah,
I believe that did hit #1 for a couple of weeks. But like I said, my little list of I think I have 3 backup songs is currently over there with the nerds who know more about computers than I do.
That's a fascinating one. That's been in my sort of back pocket. So
Bega was an interesting guy,
and
man.
it actually stayed at #1 for 20 weeks.
There we go. So it was.
Did you two prepare for that?
No, I just Googled it.
Okay. Well,
thank you, Andrea. You are the man.
Hey, as we're sort of trying to wrap this up, did you know I wrote a book?
Wait.
You wrote a book? No.
You can't even read.
I can read.
He can write too. He wrote a whole book.
You went to Zoolander's school for kids who can't read good, though.
That's why he can read now.
Thank you. Thanks, Brad.
Well done.
Thank you. I wrote the autobiography of biography of Chavo Guerrero Sr. Instant classic. Check that out on Amazon.com.
Just washed your tongue and can't do a thing with it, eh? Don't be. That's my job.
Yeah, let the pervy Muppet be the pervy one, Kirk. You just
Okay, my wife is happy with what my limited skills, but anyway.
There you go. So on top of writing a book, you
Mhm.
don't have anything else going on, do you?
Oh my God, yes, I do. Yes,
What
I
else do you have?
do. Evan Nolan and I, we do the weekly Hall of Fame show. Also, too, Chris Bournet and I, we look at some crappy television.
Ooh, what kind of crappy television?
Well, the last one we just put up was the the Harlem Globetrotters visit Gilligan's Island. So that's up.
I'm actually,
yeah.
as soon as that one drops, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, it's
it's up.
Oh, it is up. Okay.
It is up.
Computer's
It is
back in
up.
the shop. I'm gonna watch it.
I'm going to send him a message, by the way. Chris, if you're watching this, by the way, I think that next time we should go to Manimal.
Oh yes, I love. Nobody remembers those ones out of like. I remember Manimal, Misfits of Science.
Brad, do you want to
know-
be a special guest for Manimal?
Absolutely, I do, because that shit does not hold up.
I don't remember ever watching it. I just found it on YouTube, so I know it exists.
It is hot garbage.
All right, then. So we've got that and ever so much more, because God knows I never stopped doing this stuff.
That was the one. Automan, Manimal, and Misfits of Science.
I
Nobody
tried
ever-
Automan. I couldn't find we found Automan, then it disappeared off YouTube. And then when we did find it, it was all French.
Yeah.
Mon français n'est pas beau.
That's the only thing I understood was the fact that you laughed.
Thank you.
In French.
In French, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you got some Hall of Fame things going on though.
Oh my
What the
God.
hell?
Don't I? Yes. Yeah. So the Hall of Fame crew, we looked at who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the senior category. And we're going to be getting all together for looking at who should be in for the preliminary for 2023.
Brad, you should not be in the Football Hall of Fame. You don't know what football is.
I do. It's the one that they play rugby, but they dress up in all the padding and stuff. And it's basically rugby for guys who can't get hit, right?
Yeah, something like that. Andrew, you should be part of that, because a couple of those guys have never seen a woman before. So anyway. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that, because I know, God, I'm going to get a message. Anyway,
Hate
wherever
mail
you are,
is just as good as regular mail.
wherever you may be, stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Good night.